Hi, Tiana here from Mind Body Movement Center. This little video is an adjunct to a post I wrote about Ayurveda and digestion. And this particular one has to do with Vata Dosha. And I'm not to describe what that means because it's in the post. This is just an adjunct video to go along with some of the suggestions that I made there. So when we're talking about Vata Dosha, we want to keep in mind that more grounding, slow-moving, warming kind of practices might be more helpful instead of something that's more, like take for instance a very fast-flowing vinyasa class where there's maybe overemphasizing moving quickly through poses and very little in terms of the grounding, stabilizing, and also to not overstretch and overdo, which too. So just keeping in mind like poses like downward facing dog, mountain pose, chair pose, some of the more stabilizing, anything that works on literally getting your body to the ground or forces towards the ground to rise up. And today I'm just going to show 3 poses, so not those ones I just mentioned, but one being Malasana. And these are these 3 that I'm going to show you are in terms of thinking of Vata being imbalanced, in terms of already being into that state of slow-moving digestion, so more in a constipated set. So if we look at Malasana, it's a low squat, but you'll see that I'm on a bolster here. I've got a blanket on top that's folded, and you can even add another blanket. You might have seen even 2 blocks. So I'll show that version where you've got 2 blocks and then you're sitting on top of the 2 blocks, which can be a really nice way. It gets your hips a little bit higher and keeps your hips a little bit more open. So there's that version, which does feel pretty nice, or kind of a softer set. That might actually be a little bit lower, but big bolsters can work too. This is just what I have right here. So, Malasana. My hips are a little bit open, my spine is tall, so I'm going to show that. I'll just show it from the blocks on the side here. Where if I was sitting on my blocks, that my spine would be relatively lengthened or flat versus kind of being tucked under here, so that I have some space to perhaps get my hands in here, perhaps not. It doesn't always work that way. You can always put your hands down on the floor. Or perhaps a block. So I could be here, or I could be here, or stacked in any version that just makes you feel more comfortable. And then there's a breath practice that goes with this. So breathing in, allowing the belly to expand. The pelvic floor receives your breath, meaning the breath expands all the way from the diaphragm pressing down, and the belly contents expanding. So in essence here, we're trying to create a little bit more circulation, relaxation of the belly muscles to assist with digestion. So if I'm pressing my elbows out, my palms together, breathing in, lower belly expands, breathing out. You can even have a slight drawing in of the belly skin or the belly muscles. One more. All right, so that's Malasana. You could spend, 5-10 breaths there, depending on how comfortable or easeful it was. So the next one is a simple one, I think, wind relieving pose. So I'm going to take all of this out. Just going to place a blanket underneath my head. So wind relieving pose, aptly named. And if I think about how the digestive system tract rolls through, coming up ascending colon, transverse colon, and down to descending colon and out. So if I wanted to facilitate, if I'm thinking about facilitating movement, I might do my right leg in first. So we have the right knee in towards the chest, hugging in, other foot is stretched out, maybe even pressed against a wall if you wanted to get a little bit more of a grounding sensation. And then you're breathing into that space. So breathing in, allowing the belly space to expand into the thigh, and exhale, relax your jaw, your eyes, your shoulders. One more. And so if that was the ascending, then we're going over to the descending to facilitate movement over there. So two breaths, just for example. Belly expands into the thighs on the in-breath, falls back towards the ground on the out-breath. Other foot, again, maybe grounded to the wall. All right, so wind relieving pose. And finally, I'll give just a seated twist. Again, one to help with this facilitation of the movement of the digestive system. So I'm going to sit with a blanket underneath just to keep my hips up high. If you can sit on the floor without your tailbone kind of tucking under, then you don't need to sit on a blanket, but it does help, or two. I'm going to cross this leg over, and I like to clear out. I'm going to again do the right side first, again facilitating that movement of the digestive system. So I like to clear out the belly space, and actually I go from medial to lateral, and then wrapping that hand around, and maybe the hand just goes to the side if you're trying not to overdo or over twist. If you know it's okay for your spine, you can start to bring that hand back around you. So anyone with osteoporosis or osteopenia, just keeping a more subtle twist here versus overdoing. So I'm going to go somewhere right in the middle. And so I'm facilitating that breath, breathing in, belly expands into the thigh, and breathing out, it comes back towards center. And you can even do a slight contraction of those belly muscles in to facilitate that movement. Good, and then coming back to center, we reverse, cross over. I'm going to clear out that belly and thigh space and wrap around and do a bit of a half twist here. And then maybe 2, 3, 5 breaths, depending on how you're feeling. Breathing in, belly expands into that thigh. And breathing out, a little slight contraction coming back in without overdoing. All right, coming back to center and releasing. Okay, so those are just 3 poses for Vata to help that movement of the digestive system to get things moving if you're in that imbalance. All right, see you next time.